Well, are we ready to reconvene? I think
Yeah.
so. Everyone's shaking their head, yes.
For those of you who don't know, I want to introduce Kelly Lute. She's a manager with Public and Governmental Affairs. And Gary Schmidt is in Australia. And Kelly is going to walk us through the PGA budget. So great, go right ahead.
Thank you, Dawn. Good afternoon, commissioners and members of the Budget Committee. It's been a long day. You guys have done a stellar job. I've been here all day watching and taking notes. Good job. As Dawn said, my name is Kelly Lute, and I am the Administrative Services Manager for Public and Government Affairs, also known as PGA. And I'm here to tell you a little bit of our story in our department. PGA serves every department, county administration, the Board of County Commissioners, and the public by facilitating efficient, effective, and strategic two-way communication and outreach, by promoting open and transparent access to county government to everyone who lives and works in Clackamas County, and by empowering all members of the public to be engaged and involved in county government. The mission of the Department of Public and Government Affairs is to provide public engagement, intergovernmental and legislative relations, and consultation and communication services to the public, the Board of County Commissioners, and all departments so they can build connections and trust between people and their government. I have given each of you a handout of the PowerPoint that you see in front of you, so you'll be able to use that as I go through the pages. And I've also given you a list of questions that I'll refer to toward the end of this presentation. I wanted to introduce, I've got the managers from each of our programs, Amy Kyle, Chris Lyons, and Tim Hyder. You all are very familiar with them, I know, and I've also brought my budget assistant, Karen Anderson. So they're here to support me from behind. They're awesome people. Awesome. It's just a joy to work with them. So PGA has 2 lines of business and 4 programs. The first program we're going to talk about is under the administration line of business, the Office of the Director program. We have 2 key results in this program. The first has to do with annual performance reviews, and we're on target for 100% of our employees to receive their annual performance review. Our measure was for 90%, but we're strong believers in everybody getting a performance review. The second key result we have is that 85% of departments rate PGA services as good or excellent. And we have this measure because departments are one of our biggest customers. How we serve other departments through our communication is very important. So we really want to know how we do. We use an annual survey to measure this result. And last year we actually had a 90% rating. We're sticking with 85 for now, but we may change that from the departments. We have 5 FTE in the Office of the Director program, and our total budget is approximately $781,000. This is a 2% increase, primarily due to increased cost in employee benefits and an accounting change that we've made in our department, which you'll hear about shortly. We'll go on to the next page. So the significant issue is this is our first year we're participating in the Performance Clackamas Managing for Results budget. But the really significant change that occurred this year was that the franchise fee revenue, franchise fee from cable operators that's collected from cable franchise agreements was transferred from the County General Fund, thank you, Dawn, to PGA. This substantial accounting change has made it more efficient to implement PGA's Performance Clackamas budget, and it also significantly reduced PGA's request for funds from the general fund. And moving forward, the unspent franchise fee balance will return to the general fund at the end of each fiscal year. So to give you an idea of what that means, the county has 12 franchise agreements with 9 cable operators in unincorporated Clackamas County. And we are projecting approximately $1.9 million in franchise fees in the coming year that we'll collect. It's collected, each of the cable operators is in their franchise agreement will give the county 5% of their gross revenues, and that actually comes out of your cable bill. If you look on your cable bill in the very bottom under free fees and franchises, you're going to see a fee there. So it is collected from the subscribers each month. So that's a significant amount of money, and it's made a big change in our budget and how we account for things. So you're going to hear me reference this accounting change several times during my presentation. The second program I'm going to talk about under the administrative line of business is our Public Educational and Government Access Channels program, otherwise known as PEG. Approximately $332,000 will be collected in PEG fees, again, from the cable operators. This is similar to the franchise fees. They're collected from the cable subscribers every month. And the average fee is about $1 per month. So again, if you look on your cable bill, you'll see there, oh, PEG, that's what it is. The unique thing about this program and these funds is that they're dedicated and can only be spent by the access channels and only be spent on equipment and facilities. So although it is part of our budget, we cannot use any of the money in the PEG program for anything to operate our department. We are basically a pass-through. So every year we allocate PEG funds to each access channel based on an annual needs assessment. And you'll see that that our key result is that 90% of PEG access centers will rate PGA's customer service as timely, responsive, and effective. And again, this is an annual survey that we use, and this survey was sent out last week. So we'll see how we do. This is the first time we've sent out a survey for this result. Our total line of business budget is approximately $396,000. We do have a part of that, a small part of that, $63,000 is a carryover beginning fund balance, and that was established a couple years ago as a reserve, as in our reserve budget, again, for PEG money, not for our department. And it was set aside for a larger PEG project for one of the channels, and they haven't completed that project and don't need the money yet, so we're just sitting tight on that. So a little bit about the PEG channels. We have 6. The county has 6 PEG channels. The Willamette Falls Media Center is our public channel. Clackamas County Community College, the North Clackamas School District, Sabin-Schellenberg Center, the Oregon City School District, and the West Linn Wilsonville School District are our 4 educational channels, and then our channel right here at the county is the government channel, so public, educational, and government channels. We have 6 of them here. Most of the access centers channels run 24/7. They broadcast things based on their school district, or here at the county, we have all kinds of programs, including the commissioners' board meetings and all kinds of state of the county and things like that. Again, the PEG funds are dedicated and can only be used for channel facilities and equipment. And an example of that is right now the Willamette Falls Media Center, our public channel, is building a live podcast room in their studio, and they're using PEG funds to purchase equipment and to soundproof the room. So then the podcast will be broadcast live on their public channel. Several years ago, Clackamas Community College purchased 3D motion capture cameras. And some of you are familiar, they're used to transform live performances into animated performances, again on their educational channel. And so that's an example of how equipment is spent. But basically, a lot of the channels use the money for equipment so that they can be up to date, similar to a TV station. How you want to have good equipment, you want to have good cameras, you want to have good facilities for your students or for the public that watches things on your channel. Our second line of business is the Communications, Engagement, and Advocacy line of business. And the first program is Communications and Engagement. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this program. Tim Hyder and Amy Kyle, back here. Don't smile, Tim. Sorry, erase that from the tape.
He's busy tweeting or something right now.
Okay. Anyway, they're here to answer any questions you might have about this program, but a little bit about it is this communication engagement program provides internal communication, external communication, media relations, and public involvement. And so we're for example, with our internal communication, we do that through strategic consultations with departments, employee emails and newsletters, and also employee notifications that might come up. Our external communications are through strategic communications again, and outreach, consultation, implementation for all departments. I think a couple of departments, DTD I heard mention that they're seeking PGA's help with a couple of their outreach programs. We do the citizen news, we do social media, includes Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Vimeo, and whatever else is coming up for social media. We do the video communications, of course, on our channel, as I mentioned, and website content management and design. And we also provide crisis communications and emergency communications with disaster management. We work closely with disaster management. And of course, our lead public information officer, Tim Heider, does all media relations along with his team. They do a great job at that. Public involvement, all kinds of great things we do there to involve the public. We have the Committee for Community Involvement, which is CCI. We have 49 advisory boards and commissions, which are our ABCs. We have 29 community planning organizations, or CPOs, and 3 hamlets. And we also offer meaningful public input through, as I said, our Board of County Commissioners town halls, state of the county research surveys, and specific issue-driven outreach. So our key results, as you'll see, we've listed several of them. The first 2, we do a survey with residents to see if they're engaged, how engaged they are with county government, and also how aware they are of the services provided by the county. And we do this, again, through an annual survey. So the last year we did a survey. We were on target. We exceeded our measures a little bit. The residents that are aware of services was at 73% last year, and our measure is at 60%. So we have a couple other results. We track the increase in social media followers and the press releases that result in external coverages. And so far this year to date, we're on target with meeting the goal of 50% in each of those results. And then an output we have is 125 videos requested and produced, and we have already exceeded that measure. We have 14 FTE in this program, which is the majority of our staff. As you can see, we are primarily about communications, and that's why we have so many people in this program. Our line of business is approximately $3 million, and this is, for the coming year, this is a 9% increase, and again, due to the cost of employee benefits, and we have, in this year, increased our office space, so our rent is going up a bit, and then the $3 million includes some web content management software for 1 year, and you've heard about that. We are requesting approximately $64,000 from the general fund. This will probably be the last time we ever do this, but I won't make any promises. But we have, this is due to the accounting change that I mentioned earlier, and as we collect these franchise fees and trying to restructure some of our programs, we have found that we just need a little bit of help from our friends over in county admin. Significant issue here in communications and engagement is that you'll see that we're transferring 1 FTE from technology services to PGA. And as I mentioned, PGA is responsible for the creation and deployment of web content. And PGA and technology services are working together to create a content management system that is expected to be completed early next year. The contractor actually is in the process of being hired to assist in the project, and the budgeted amount of $144,000 is within PGA's budget for the coming year. You'll see that. And starting July 1, the FTE from Technology Services will move over to PGA and will be exclusively dedicated to web content. And I'll move on to our final program. We're almost finished. That's Government Affairs, another very important program here in our department. We have a federal lobbying team in Washington, D.C., and a full-time presence in Salem. We have 2 staff who support this department, actually 2.5, because Gary's very involved with that as well. We have the Clackamas County Coordinating Committee, which is Government Affairs oversees that program. That committee guides them, really. And we have a seat at the table working with regional and local partners on numerous priorities and initiatives. And we also seek funding for the county on everything from transportation and courthouse funding to Willamette Falls Locks, federal forests, county payments, and 4-H3S programs. The key results that we'd like to track here with this program is that our legislative goals are achieved or on target, and we're looking at 70% for that this year. Last year, we met the goal and with a 74%, so we actually achieved the goal. 50% of federal legislative goals is our second key result, and that this is the first year we're tracking that, and we're not going to know anything about that because, as we know, Congress is busy doing what they do. So our total line of budget, our total line of business budget for this program is, as you'll see, approximately $884,000. But it's important to note that $500,000 of that is a beginning fund balance. It was a state grant from the legislature that was passed in 2016, and again, that money is earmarked for for repairs of the locks and for an economic benefits study. So it's really for the Willamette Falls locks. So the actual budget for government affairs staffing primarily is $384,000, which is actually 7% lower than this year's budget in that program. But again, that ties in with how we've restructured our program to meet the MFR goals. And I've already talked about that. So our department-wide budget overview, the great news is that our budget for next year, we're asking for $5.1 million, and that's less than this year's budget of $5.5 million. And that's, we are asking for the general fund support, but it's less than 1% of our budget. And again, due to our accounting change to that last year, that's why we're able to, it's a little bit less, but we've also made some reductions, which you'll hear in the Q&A there in a few of our programs, because going into this year, we knew that we needed to have a slim and trim budget, so we were working on that. And nothing there. And our financial trends, our PGA's revenue is relying on cable franchise fees and charges for service, which should remain stable next year. And expenditure, our big expenditure trend will be the increase in office space and in allocated costs. So I think that wraps up my presentation. I don't know if you want me to go through the questions here that I handed out. I can go through those quickly, and then any questions you have for me, I'll defer to the team back here. Kidding. So we were given a list of questions from admin that the budget committee might want to know about. And so I've just identified in that single sheet of paper that you have the questions that pertain to us. So the first question is, what if any reductions in service were made to balance the line of business services to maintenance level allocations? And as I mentioned, we have reduced services in both lines of business that we have, but we've spread the reductions over 3 programs in 5 different accounts. And so it's a little bit here, just a little bit. And the accounts are the community relations, professional services, training and staff development, and travel and per diem accounts. So we were able to reduce in those areas, but not a real significant amount. The second question is discuss how Performance Clackamas has influenced your budget. And this is, I mentioned this accounting change, and it's really helped us so much. The accounting change, because we're able to align our programs more with our budget. And so, and the MFR programs have allowed us to really tell our story in what we do. So, again, that substantial accounting change, and it allows us to track expenses more closely and tie them to our lines of business and programs. So, discuss your succession planning efforts and activities, and Gary Schmidt can best answer that question, but you may be aware that all PGA staff have received DISC team communication and work style training and leadership coaching this year, not only to better work together, but to more effectively achieve the mission objectives of PGA and provide better and more effective support to our employees and customers. And I think this training has also better prepared us, all the staff in our department, to step into most any position if needed. But the good news is that we have a wide diversity of employee years of service, so PGA is not facing any large number of immediate retirements at this time. So the last question is, for the county's long-term issues and plans, affordable housing, et cetera, how do they line up with what you're budgeting? And as you know, you really do know because you work closely with PGA. PGA supports and/or is involved with pretty much every county initiative by the nature of our lines of business: communications, engagement, and advocacy. And our budget is primarily personnel, as the expertise and talents of our employees help further the county's initiatives. The PGA budget is lean and is focused on achieving results. And one specific example, PGA is about to get the I-205 expansion fully funded in the state legislature, and that's a major BCC performance Clackamas goal. So those are our.
Very good.
Funding I-205? Thank you.
It's going to be 6 lanes.
So I am available for any questions that you have, and if I can't answer them, my team.
I want to thank the Government and Public Affairs for their presentation, and we're open to questions now. I think Commissioner Bernard's first, and then Commissioner Halverson, and then Eric and Savas.
So the budget reflects increase in office rent, and so that includes the former treasurer's office?
Correct.
So that's why that's increased. So I still have concerns about the Comcast contract. You know, so let me see. 12 years I've been working with Comcast, and they're always challenging. And the contract has not been resolved yet. Have we anticipated, I mean, where does it look like it's going? And you may not be able to answer. Oh, you would. Where does it look like it's going, and how can we get them to finalize this? It's pretty year and a half old.
Year and a half old. So I sit in on monthly webinars for local governments across the country with an organization called NATOA, and we talk about franchise agreements every month and where people are at, whether it's with Comcast, CenturyLink, Wave, et cetera. The average number of years that local governments negotiate with Comcast across the country is about 6. City of Salem, Marion County wrapped their franchise agreement up this last spring, and they've been ongoing for 10 years. So I have met, Gary and I have met, Debbie McCoy has met, so we're in our second year. I'll be meeting with Tim Goodman on Thursday. Again, he's our Comcast negotiator, and we're very close. My goal, Gary's goal, is to have this resolved, have this franchise agreement finalized before the end of the summer. To do that with Comcast, it means that you're giving them what they want. And so we're pushing a little bit. We've been pushing, but I could give you the details on a later date. But they do provide a good service to all of our citizens in unincorporated Clackamas County. They have the high-speed internet, which some of our other cable operators can't provide, and so they are doing their job.
Well, you know, like I said, I've been dealing with them for about 12 years. At one point, the city of Milwaukee got their check and they said, don't cash it or we're going to charge you interest. It just seems absurd that it takes this long. I understand they wanted the PEG money back. I mean, this is ridiculous. In the legislature, every year they try something. You know, I think this is one good reason why we ought to look at what Clackamas County can do to provide some of these internet services, because we're obviously not getting and they're the worst ones, Comcast. They're the worst. And I know the negotiator pretty well. But anyway, that's too bad. General fund support, and I can't specifically remember. It seems like recently we just shifted some more burden onto Gary's department. Every year we do. And Gary every year says, I can handle that. So, I mean, he does a really great job. I also think that 100% of the folks have gone through evaluations is something that very few departments can probably say they've done. And that's amazing. So good work for Gary. And we also took that test, And what's it called?
Disc. It's
Never
an
remember.
assessment.
Disc assessment. And I think it's valuable, and I understand you guys had some follow-through training too, which I think that we will be looking at too. Gary recommended it, so good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Was Eric next? Or was Commissioner Humphrey? Okay. All right, go ahead, Ken.
Fairly short and sweet here. In your presentation, department-wide budget overview, you indicated what 86% of your budget covers. The remaining 14% you didn't happen to comment on, and I just thought, that's about $750,000, give or take a little bit. Can you give me some idea what that 14% covers?
It covers materials and services for like subscriptions and training, staff trainings, our professional services contracts, just miscellaneous. So there's just not much telephone charges. There's just not a lot. I mean, it's just spread out over 4 programs, and they're just really small dollar amounts.
Is there a reason why that wouldn't be in material and services?
Hold on, I'm looking, I want to see my budget overview.
It's page 11.
No, you're right. It's production services. That's a big charge. That's what we use for our cable.
So it's production services?
It is production services. I said materials and services. I meant production services.
Answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Eric, I think it was Eric next? I think Eric was next, then Commissioner Salas.
I just have a real simple question. Can you clue us in on to how it was that this department got stuck with $500,000 to repair the Willamette Falls locks? That seems totally incongruous with regard to this department.
Yeah, we're charging them.
The state gave us the money.
Well, I know, but who's responsible for repairing the locks? Gary?
To do with that.
It's not going to be, it's actually not that piece of it. What they're more than likely going to do is to be staffing a statewide group. I think, Chris, you could probably address that we've kind of reallocated what that money was going to be used for. And that was working with Darlene Hooley and Lisa Nato.
Right, so PGA has kind of been the de facto lead at the county on the locks issue.
Yeah.
We were at the legislature advocating for that priority, and we're successful in getting the $500K. So it kind of just naturally came to us, and now we're working to repurpose that with the goal of trying to just further the issue and allocate it to the right places so that we can keep momentum on the locks. So we have a working group that PGA staffs. Commissioner Schrader is part of that.
Commissioner Salas, too.
Okay, I'm just curious. I just, I saw that and I thought, what?
No, we're not.
Gonna repair the Willamette Falls locks?
No, we're trying to get the Corps of Engineers to repair those.
Yeah, I want that job. I'll
Got that in his budget.
run the locks when I retire.
All right,
Did,
thank you. Commissioner Salas.
just to follow up on that real quick, did I mention the economic study that we're doing for the 500,000? That was earmarked for the, did I mention that in my
I
presentation?
think you mentioned it, but I
Okay,
didn't
good.
have an idea of how much it was. It was the,
We're doing an RFP, so we won't know exactly, but we hope to have, I think the economic study will tell us next fall when it's completed on what exactly does need to be done,
okay,
and is it feasible to do it?
all right, thank
That's what I
you.
hope. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
My question is really not for PGA staff, but it's occurred to me all day long, and PGA staff also has mentioned this about MFR. And it became clear to me when TS was here and Dave had mentioned that he had half an FTE that he was sharing, and another half was paid for by the tax assessor's office. So I thought I'd go back and figure out, well, is MFR a department? And they're not, right? They're in the BCC, but the BCC only shows 1.5 FTE. So as everyone's mentioned, they're spending time, and I don't know which departments will have a dedicated, or it sounds like an embedded person, or half an embedded person for MFR. As the days roll on, it'd be nice to know actually how many of those people like Dave and the tax assessor share total, so we can get an idea of how much we're spending on MFR. It's hard to calculate how much time each department, as they get involved with that, will spend, but more from an ongoing standpoint, there's the initial breakthrough, which PGA sounds like it'll be doing, but it'd be nice to get an assessment of what that'll be as an ongoing cost.
I'm happy to do that sometime during the course of this coming year, put together a policy session on that itemizes for you what it's taking for the county to move forward. The Performance Clackamas and MFR is asking departments to do things that they haven't done before, which is to develop and to monitor and track measures for performance. And so that is a new thing that we've asked for all the departments to put together. Some departments, a large department like DTD, that's a fairly sizable task. Other departments, they can incorporate that responsibility in a portion of an individual's job. But I think that would be a really worthwhile thing for us to do, is spend some time on that for you.
Thank you. Eric? Follow-up question. Go ahead.
I just have a general comment. In the future, and this applies to everybody that's going to be presenting stuff to the budget committee, if you could three-hole punch it, that would help us, so we don't have a bunch of loose papers when we leave. We can put it in our notebook. Thank you.
Welcome. We're done.
Thank you.
Well, that locks it up for PGA.
Good job, Kelly.